This is FG, back with Gemradcurt. It's about an hour since I recorded the first part. I had to just talk to some people. As you can see if you're watching these, not the same date. I'm gonna get that. Oh. Not the same date. What I did basically was just get the requirements ready for our next mission. Cut. Or not, I guess. I went ahead and reduced autonomy across my empire, put down some rebellions, and oh, he's dead. Okay, is that 90%? Nope, not. It's 95%. We need. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, we good. Okay. Open ruler magic menu. Evocation spell. War magic. Okay. The Everfrost Crusade. Decades ago, the two Thought Crusaders marched into our lands intent on exterminating us. We were weak and divided then, unwilling to do what needed to be done to protect ourselves. No longer. Under the leadership of Gemradcurt, we have united our territories and pushed back the invaders, reclaiming the lands of the north for ourselves, but still our job is not yet finished. If we are to avoid another catastrophe like this, again, we must marshal our resources once more and strike deep into the heart of autumn. With whatever means necessary, the future and destiny of our people and faith will be won. The Everfrost Crusade will see it so. Alrighty. It's not too many provinces that we need. Alrighty. Besides that, not too much really happened. We got a little bit of siege ability, but that's pretty much it. Oh, there goes our Dame's Tier deposit. I will put our fleet that's good. We need that influence. So kind of minor problem is that we won't actually have manpower to really continue this war for very long. Those three. And then convert that. We won't be able to convert this because this got converted over. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And we will go ahead and crush that army. There we go. Easy peasy. I think they were just running their armies on and off. Damn it. I need the Taigan Order to be 50 influence, and it just... game does not want it. Okay. I am actually going to... yeah, Earthquake it. Earthquake has some longer lasting effects, so it's nice to devastate our enemy's capital just a little bit. We take these three. Money. War reps. And... yeah, I guess we won't pillage their capital. We will. Okay. It's a little bit over. It's not too much overextension, really. I'll get rid of this one. That. We will need to switch over to a Majocracy just to get that little bit extra influence. Summon the court. Fire him. So we should be able to get our the Taigan Order up to 50 influence. Go ahead and provoke them, just so I don't have to worry about them later. We're gonna need a few more boats. I guess I'll go with like 4 more. And then just put them on guard duty. Okay, so that's all the Paytar provinces that it is possible to convert. I guess I'll start converting that. Okay, to core province. I'm gonna wait for our manpower just to recover a little bit. Once we get to like, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000, I'll start actually doing more stuff. Alrighty. All of these guys can come right here. I need to take admin tech. Oh yes, I've also been developing this place, Martha Moss. No expense. I'm gonna wait and go ahead and... There we go. And... what was I thinking about? Oh yes. I really don't want to give out Battle Mage Academies. It's just not... If it gave you more than one per game, basically, is about the rate it gives you, then it might be useful. But it doesn't, so it's just terrible. 6, 1, 2. Send 3 of my knights. Put Imral on this. Take that. Send these guys over here. This army can keep doing that. And time to declare war on Einsag. Alrighty. And we want to attach to transport. Ah, damn it. There we go. Alrighty. Build some temples. Okay, we're gonna not have that happen. Yeah, I'm willing to reload for that. What's our title? Lady Mother. That's an interesting one. Use the military as a workforce. Have we developed? No, we have not. Alrighty. These guys, send them over this way. And then I can turn this over to advancement efforts. Attached transports. Spend more effort. Okay. We're reloading again. She's just 45. She shouldn't be dying like this. Maybe I'll try just not using her in the army. Do that. Because she's 45 and she's a powerful mate, or 46 and a powerful mate, she should live to be about 60. Okay. There we go. And we can do that for siege ability. You know what? I can actually just... This is a little bit quicker. Okay. I am gonna real quick turn on Defensive Edict right there. Take that. And turn on Advancement Edict. Wait. Oh, there we go. Didn't do that in quite the right order, but 'tis alright. Free trade port level. Yeah, just no, that was the wrong button. take that. All that money. And just start converting. This is Gemradcurt too. Okay, are they willing to take that? Sidpar is. Okay, now this army has to go, or the fleet has to go there. Previously, I think Pelomar was the only one with a truly unique mission tree. Nations with the same religion share a, they all share a mission tree, sort of. Okay, I'll take money from them. Pelomar will give me 85 ducats. Actually, let me just... Oh, they don't want me to force religion on them. Oh. That was nutrition tick. Do these guys... Oh. Force religion, give me... Okay. That much money isn't really worth fighting over. And then we take that, as well as their money. Easy peasy. Embrace institution. And start coring everything. Yay, we're a great power. These guys can come down here. Okay, we're now a legendary necromancer. Start studying illusion. Let's go with a gifted academic. Fantastic. Okay. It's a bad province. This is a better province. Alrighty. Okay. So in 3 years we should be able to actually take our event, or take the next part of the mission. So we're behind the rest of the nations in most tech categories, but we aren't in the ones that actually matter, which is, you know, military. Where am I converting? El Togor. I can do enforce religious unity here. Expansion of Celatry, forced unity of faith. Take this off. Forgot about that. Oh yes, I need to start developing these places. Gemradcurt. Malkut. I need that. I can get rid of that. Malkada. Where's Malkada? This is a Malkada. I can do that. There we go. Need a mage tower here. Send this guy over here, actually. Can protect trade in Airdan. That. And I need to get these boys over this way. Okay, do vendetta. Every town taken, every city razed has given to Thutok just a taste of the hardship and suffering they visited upon this Nebkoth during the Hibernal Crusades. The Everfrost Crusade, Winter's righteous campaign into the heart of autumn, has been wildly successful, and now Imrail stands on a defeated and broken people, chased to their last bastion at Einsag, who had proclaimed themselves as the successor of Eikard's legacy as the leaders of the Autumn Court. If that is so, then they shall face Eikard's deserved fate as well. Imrail rode through the island city, atop a white elk, past the Tuthok warriors and civilians that lay dead on the street, the Snebkoth and Tygan Order soldiers that waited with murderous anticipation for the word from their leader. Imriel had done it. Even now, it hardly seemed believable to her. She had destroyed the realms of Autumn and ended the centuries-long conflict between Snekboth and Tuthok for good. She had won. But what now? That was the question that seemed to light this city. Even after its subjugation, Imriel came to the square at the city's heart, before the building that used to serve as Eidsag's center of power. Her lieutenants were there, alongside a large part of the troops in the city. They were waiting for orders, all but one, of course. Captain Ishera moved forward to preempt the words that many expected out from Imriel's mouth. She spoke of the innocence in the city, of the madness and senselessness of it all, of the old ways, of the peaceful and moral and just life we used to live before we were forced to take up arms against the invaders. Talran and Sendinar, hardline captains, both attempted to shout over her, to accuse her and belittle her before the assembled troop, but Imriel stood them down with an icy glare and continued listening in silence. When Ishura had finished making her appeal, seemingly all her energy spent on her own last stand, Imriel dismounted and approached her. The square watched on in anticipation. Ishura in desperate hope. Imriel placed her hand on her old friend's shoulder. Ishura. The Tuthak have made their grave. I am merely burying them. Yep. We're the good guys. I promise. No, not really. We're awful. Go ahead and move her over here. Take care of those guys. Alrighty. We're eventually gonna have to settle some stuff, so I'll go ahead and take that. Okay. Where am I converting right now? Fizzball. Okay, I'll turn religious unity on here. I'll go ahead and take the prestige. Season of gifting. I'll go ahead and repay him. I guess. Let's see what this actually does. Not, yeah. Currently paying 1 month or 1 ducat in interest. Oh, look at this shit. This game, I swear this game just fucking hates the players, doesn't it? Okay. I'll go ahead and take this before reading it. Imriel's Winter's Wrath has enjoyed a close and intimate relationship with the Tygan Order, which was previously only responsible for the arcane education of young women within Gemradcurt's borders. After she rose to power, however, nobody had expected the extent to which she would empower and expand the role of her order. Membership was expanded to include men, and the order gradually consumed more and more responsibilities within the country. However, this process is not yet complete. In order for Imriel and Gemradcurt to protect the nation, in the winter, the Tigan Order must reign supreme over the country so that her authority and power may be absolute. We can go ahead and look at this. It gives them more loyalty and influence. Alrighty. And once we do this, we'll get Instruments of Life. That'll be done in like 2 years. Yeah, she'll survive. Hopefully. I'm actually going to take this. I don't need that anymore. Okay. Ruler magic menu. Illusion. Study magic. Spend more effort. Since basically everyone hates us, actually I'm going to take quality ideas. Usually I don't take quality, but I want some high quality troops for once. Or to take quality as my first idea group. Study increase. Oh, that was lucky. 2 in a row. Another one. Looking pretty good. We own over half of Aelantir at this point. I don't really want to, what was it? I'm gonna go with education of the missionaries. I think the theocracy has some of the better government upgrades. They all just seem pretty solid. An upset patron. That's fine. Our truce with Akrepun. Yeah, I really shouldn't expand. I vaguely am aware of what the disaster is, and I think it's probably easier if I just... Oh, I guess I spoiled that there's a disaster. But I'd prefer to sort of keep it a little bit more compact. Okay. Throughout Aelantir, there exist many artifacts of those who came before, which are renowned for their ability to channel magical energy. Though the people of Aerden have yet to devise any world-changing use for them, that may change very soon. However, again, first early mission tree, Imriel has received plans from her Fey patrons, and has already set her resources to the task of creating a device to bring about change in the power balance of Aerden forever, a machine that will secure winter survival. To this end, she has begun construction of the Frost Spear, a massive tower of twisting metal and ice that shall be seen for all miles around, and underneath that tower, work has begun on a chamber that shall contain the very heart of winter. Alrighty. Imriel entered the underground chamber uneasily. Even now she could hear the noise of construction above her head, as the workers erected the largest building Imriel had seen in her entire life, even in its unfinished state. Under her direction they had built a monumental thing with an even greater expanse of works underneath it. It was incredible. But as she walked within the tunnels and chambers of the Frost Spear's subterranean levels, she wasn't entirely sure that the whole thing wouldn't come tumbling down on her head. She would have to get over her fear, however, for in this place lay the key to her destiny. In the center of the chamber, which itself was large enough that the centerpiece seemed dwarfed by its surroundings, with a high ceiling and lots of space around the thing, there was large, glowing white crystals mounted on some precursor device, punctuated with many assorted tubes and cables connected to the roof, as if they were holding the crystal up. Before it stood the Everfrost Prince, looking deep into the crystal's confines. The heart of winter. And with the instrument of life gathered around you, this shall become the epicenter of your power. As Imriel approached him, the Archfey did not move, though Imriel felt obligated to give him his space. When the long night comes, you shall bind your soul to the heart, and eternal power will be yours. The words eternal power still affected Imriel in the same way it did when she first heard them. What the Everfrost Prince offered was eternal life. Her soul would be bound to the heart of winter, her phylactery, from which she would be able to control her own living body, or potentially that of someone else. Though that process was time-consuming, costly, and would effectively kill whomever it was done to. The Everfrost Prince had explained this method, while being costly and more dangerous, with the heart having to remain would leave her stronger and with more vitality than the traditional Eastern method of the same process, though Imriel did not know what Eastern land he spoke of. With her own wintry magic, she could freeze her mortal body and extend its vitality threefold, only needing to transfer to a new one once the old body was irreversibly aged or damaged. This was a power fit to guide the Winter Court to a brighter new future. And with only a little more blood and sweat, it would come to Imriel's wield. A calamity like the Hibernal Crusade will never happen again. Okay. Where are my merchants? There they are. I'm gonna go ahead and pay off this loan. I can probably build a little bit of stuff. Conversion successful. I guess I can turn this Force Religious Unity on here too. Let me make sure I'm not running any pointless edicts real quick. That one's not totally pointless, but it's better to not have it. Alrighty. Okay. The long night. Hence, I don't know, for any of you who are subscribed, you'll see my community post. The winter lies victorious over the hated Tuthok, and even now our soldiers scour the remains of our defeated foe, purging those who would stand against us and turning as many people as possible towards the light of our faith. But still, there exist grave threats to our future prosperity. There have been concerning murmurs from the east of a dragon god, and even now those in the south rally against us and sharpen their blades in anticipation of an attack. And not to mention the threat from within our borders, disregarding Tuthok remnants, there have been concerns raised about our own people who chafe under our rule, some openly criticizing our new aggressive winter court. But the Everfrost Prince has given Imriel a solution to this, personal powers unimaginable, so that she may secure the survival of winter forever, and so that the Snekboth will never again see the devastation of the Hibernal Crusade. And with the instruments of life gathered around her, and the resources of the North under her control, the previously insane requirements of this ritual have become more achievable by the day. If Imriel is to secure this future of winter forever, perhaps the most drastic step must be taken. I'm gonna go ahead and just link my armies up for no particular reason, but I am scared there might be armies. Go ahead and actually build a force limit. Take that. Okay. We are gonna go back. Yeah, sorry for the reloads, but I'm not gonna restart the campaign just because of some sort of shitty RNG. Do that. Okay. Now, do that, and we can start paying our debts back. Oh, fuck. I'm dumb. That's stupid. Imriel sat slumped in her chair, one hand held to her head and the other reaching out to the fire. She felt warmth against her skin, savored it. Would she feel the same thing tomorrow? Would this ritual strip her even of that? Imriel thought of these things, but beneath them a different worry turned over and over again. Last night she had dreamed she had climbed over the tip of the frost spear, a swirling maelstrom of snow and magic above her, and for miles and miles she had seen the destruction of man. The buildings of Gemradcurt lie ruined. Wood and stone husks were all that remained of the city's vitality. Snekboth bodies littered the street. Riders ran roughshod through them, hunting down any elf still living. Outside the city, thousands or tens of thousands lay dead. Death wrote its name in bloody characters across the snow. Imriel had awoken with tears in her eyes, grief-stricken, though the events she had seen had not yet come to pass. She was blinded by her fear then, but now she could see two possibilities before her. In one, that grim day was the result of inaction. A future where she threw off this new power out of worry, and Gemradcurt was finally overrun by its enemies, by the realms of the south, perhaps, or a strange invader from the sea. The other, that terrible other, was that her actions would be the harbinger of catastrophe. She would be the mother of death, and from her womb would spring calamity unrivaled by all others. That her hubris, her clamor for ever more power, would undo everything that she had been won by the blood of hundreds of thousands of her countrymen. Imriel sat motionless on her chair, thinking and thinking. Her skin grew uncomfortably hot under the fire, but she didn't care, didn't pull away her hand. She had the choice. The ritual was ready, and it would begin tomorrow night. And all she had to do was give the word and it would be cast aside. Or she could go to sleep now, and go to her destiny, a coin flip that would decide the fate of her nation. The long night. Crisis. Imriel awoke with a start. There was a clamor around her as soldiers and merchantmen and nobles rushed the barricade doors, sharpened their weapon, and planned their next move. Her wrists and ankles were bound, and someone had put a gag in her mouth. She was still wearing the white nightgown she wore to bed. She looked around. In the heart chamber, heavily armed, stood a large part of the cream of Gemradcurt society. They had figured out her plans, were spooked and staged a coup, just what Imriel needed. Near one of the chamber doors stood Captain Aelantir and a few very prominent nobles. They were arguing about what to do next, judging by the mention of his name, the faint shouting and noise from the other side of the chamber doors, and the incessant thud of battering rams striking against them. Captain Talran was on the other side, trying to get in. At least someone had stayed loyal. It didn't matter, though. Talran wasn't getting in, and she wasn't getting out. The binds were so tight they bit into her skin, and she could barely move her fingers. No casting spells. Then time stopped. An archfey, the most beautiful elf Imriel had ever seen, clad in white furs and armor, separated from thin air and approached, crouching down before her. The long night has come. Now is the time that wheat separates from the chaff, and those who are on our side, on the side of winter, will reveal themselves. Imriel's bind suddenly broke free, movement restored to her, even as everyone else in the room stood dead still. She pulled the gag from her mouth, and the Everfrost Prince continued. I propose a pact at this darkest hour. I grant you power, eternal life, and magical abilities beyond compare. And in return, you shall cast the land into an eternal winter, so that the snow shall fall for half the year, and that all may feel the icy embrace of winter. He offered his hand. What say you, my champion, my faithful servant? Imriel took it without delay. As your wish is my command. The long night. Ascension. Captain Talran nearly cried out in anguish when he heard a great explosion consume the heart chamber from the other side of the doors. For a few minutes he feared, believed Imriel dead, his dear lord, with whom he was half in love, slain by the perfidious traitors. Then the doors opened, and he feared no longer. Imriel stood within the chambers, the inside of the phylactery behind her swirling with magical energy, wisps of it filling the chamber and spreading out once the doors opened. She stood tall, nearly majestic in her power, and completely at ease. Despite her injuries, standing in the biting cold and nothing but a dirty nightgown, all the plotters and traitors were dead on the floor, reduced to frozen corpses. With a flick of her hand, they rose once again in service to her. The Tigan Order loyalists, Talran included, knelt in submission to her, but they had no idea what had truly transpired, what Imriel had become, what would soon happen to Gemradcurt. Or Gemradcurt. I'm gonna keep calling it Gemradcurt. Along with the rest of the nation, they soon would. From the tips of the frost spear, coinciding with the explosion within itself, erupted a beam of light that seemed to pierce the sky, a maelstrom of ice and wind, magic erupting over the skies of the city. Across northern Aerdan, from Slegcall to the Marathath Mass to Einsag, the days kept growing colder and colder and colder, until the entire nation was plunged into a deep winter. Snow fell, then armies marched from the frost spear, armies of undead, frozen corpses, and ice-white skeletons, led by Tigan Order officers. And finally, Imriel told the people what had occurred. There had been a grave threat to Gemradcurt, a coup attempt from within, supported by enemies from without. Imriel was forced to take drastic actions. This new winter, a near-eternal winter that would last 9 months of the year, alongside the undead army streaming out of Gemradcurt, would soon protect them forever, as would Imriel. For Imriel had seized the power of eternal life. She urged for calm, for people to remain in their homes until the threat had passed. So we get the winds of winter. Development costs, production efficiency, lower national tax, more attrition, more fort defense, minus core creation costs, plus governing capacity, plus 0.35 monthly devastation, and plus 1 max hostile attrition. Imriel Winter's wrath had at last ascended to an eternal power, Lichdom. Immortal, she can essentially rule over Gemradcurt for all eternity. However, due to her rather unique path to achieving Lichdom, doing so off the back of a very powerful Archfey patron, and using her esoteric designs for a phylactery and purging ritual, the nature of her ascension has been rather different to that of Morgarax, the first witch. Her phylactery deep within the frost spear is completely immobile and unable to be moved from its position without a great deal of effort. Furthermore, it is essentially physically and magically connected to the spell Maelstrom that swirls high above the city, so that the Heart of Winter and the Eternal Winter that Gemradcurt has been cast into are intimately connected. While this means that Imriel's soul is potentially more susceptible to being discovered and destroyed, and the process of ascending to Lichdom infinitely more expensive than the traditional methods, it has other potentially greater benefits. The greatest of these is that Imriel's soul can be transferred from one physical body to another, replacing the mind of that person whose body she inhabits, rendering this transferal subject brain dead in the process, but most notably not killing the subject's physical body, as in the normal subject. This allows her to keep a physical connection to the world around her, something that the Everfrost Prince seems to be rather keen on, likely so that Imriel can feel the cold embrace of the winter. Transferal is difficult and time-consuming and cannot be done on a whim, but nonetheless it can be done without too much fuss, allowing Imriel to change bodies once her old one gets too old or damaged to use. Physical differences in appearance can be covered up with illusion magic, much like the witches often do in the East. However, should Imriel's host body be killed physically, Imriel would be forcibly booted back to the heart chamber beneath the frost spear, and must first recover for a time before retransferring to a new host body. While this method, and slightly unique form of witchdom, is too bespoke and limited to be utilized anywhere else, it is nonetheless vital to the success of the Imrielian regime. Pray that Imriel uses the gift bestowed to her wisely. Yeah, we're getting the Red Winter disaster. The irony of, I forget what the song is. This is Carolus Rex coming on, as we also ascend to a throne in the north. The coup attempt during what is now known as the Long Night involves a cross-sectional of Gemradcurt's society, hastily thrown together over the course of the week. It was comprised of notable nobles, clergymen, and even Tigan Order soldiers, be they followers of Ishera who did not know of the attempt, or previously devout supporters of Imriel, such as the late Captain Serendar. And so the deaths of these conspirators naturally raised the anger of much of Gemradcurt's establishment. A confrontation unrest was likely, but Imriel had not expected this. It began as demonstrations, disobedience. It soon turned into small-scale raids, ambushes, on Tigan Order soldiers and undead patrols. Then everything collapsed all at once. Entire provinces began to openly reject Imriel's rule. Armories were looted, and the majority of regular Snekboth soldiers deserted or mutinied. A great deal of the people of Gemradcurt had risen up in fear and anger at Imriel's seizure of power, and her use of necromancy, long thought a distasteful but necessary weapon of war, had been unmasked for what they now saw it to be, an evil art designed only to increase Imriel's personal power, and unleash unrivaled tyranny over the Snekboth people. But Imriel was not alone. The greater part of the Tigan Order remained fanatically loyal. Many clergy, merchants, and nobles chose to support her, either out of fear or simply to hedge their bets on the side they thought would win. And despite many ordinary people's shock and anger, perhaps 4/10 of the Snekboth population could not separate Imriel the Liberator, the victorious conqueror and defender, from whatever they said she was now. The revelation that the Everfrost Prince, an archfey of legend, had been helping Imriel gave even more legitimacy to her cause. By the end of the month, the hoped-for mass overthrow of Imriel had not materialized. Instead, the lines of a true civil war, family against family, friend against friend, had been drawn. The Red Winter had begun. Okay. We can't afford it right now. Captain Nishera, Fascism, and Imriel Winter's Wrath had been closed. The year before, Imriel had been propelled to leadership by Gemradcurt's militarist. Ishera had joined the Tigan Order, the same age as Imriel, and the two had become fast friends. Let me just pause this for a moment. Though she did not have the years or experience of some of her older advisors, Imriel trusted none more than Ishera when it came to good sound counsel. They knew each other well, and they had fought side by side on many occasions. When it came to personal matters, not matters of state or warfare or whatever else concerned government, Ishera was the only person whom Imriel could turn to. But one of them had changed. Either Ishera grew too soft, or Imriel grew too wrathful, too hungry for power and security and eternal peace. By the time the long night came, there was a rift between them, indistinct but ever-present. In the days after her ascension, Imriel had hoped foolishly that Ishera might understand what she had done, might play the friend and confidant in her undoubtedly tough times again. But she was wrong. Of course she was. It was folly to hope for any other outcome. Soon after the Red Winter began in earnest, Ishera publicly and ostentatiously defected to the rebels. She denounced Imriel as a traitor to the people of Gemradcurt. To the old ways and to the Winter Court. Quickly, she emerged as a key figure in the resistance, and soon enough she had been appointed as the leader of a force that would strike down her old comrade. They called themselves the Watchers of the White, claiming to represent the true legitimate government of Gemradcurt, and are comprised largely of the nation's prominent rebellious nobility and mercantile class, many of whom had lost friends and family in the chaos of the long night. They are well-equipped, highly motivated, and worse still, well-led. If Imriel is to retain control over Gemradcurt, the Watchers must be taken care of without delay. Oh, this is Ishera's army. Oh god. Okay. We need money. Should help a little bit. I'm gonna have to get rid of, like, some of these guys. The main army of the Watchers of the White had been crushed. Ishera's body, brought to Imriel by loyalist Tigan Order soldiers, mercifully and fortunately unraised, was buried with full honors by her old friend, but the legacy of her betrayal and those of the many other nobles and merchants who followed her into battle remains. With their primary field army destroyed, many of their members settling into localized guerrilla warfare, it has come to see that the post-war Gemradcurt, these traitors do not... The time has come to see that in the post-war Gemradcurt, these traitors do not rear their heads once again, the families of the rebels will have their property confiscated and their assets seized, so they will not dare to rise up against Gemradcurt again. Okay. So, what are we at time-wise? We're at 1 hour and 6 minutes. I guess I'll go ahead and call it here for right now. So the disaster has started. We have murdered our only real friend. We've become immortal, and yeah, I gotta kick this lady off. So yeah, things not looking super great for us right now. As you can see, we're barely into it, and we're already getting devastation, which is bad. But next time I will be back, and we will likely deal with the disaster and conquer the pathetic little remnants of those who do not worship the coldest season of the year. I guess you could say it's the coolest season. If I had effects set up right now, I'd do a badum-tis, but I can't. Well, thank you for watching. This has been FG. Have a good day.